very pleasant evening to you out there. Many thanks for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on Equa Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada. Tonight on National Talk, we beam our light on national matters. As Nigeria continued to grapple with the issue of kidnapping and killings, on Thursday, terrorists stormed the government secondary school in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State and kidnapped at least 287 students. This is as the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, a day before the kidnapping, said that the insecurity level in the country has reduced to the barest since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office on May 29, 2023. The governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, during a visit to the affected community, assured of the safe release of the kidnapped students. In the meantime, some residents had on Sunday morning looted a warehouse belonging to the Federal Capital Territory Department of Agriculture in the Tasha area of Abuja. Following the loot, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has issued a directive for the distribution of grains to Abuja residents to ameliorate the hardship being faced by the people. You would recall that Nigerians have been groaning over hardship and soaring prices of commodities occasioned by government policies, especially the removal of petrol subsidy and unification of the forex. In some states, many Nigerians have taken to the streets to protest the unbearable hardship due to the high cost of commodities, especially food items. On National Talk tonight, I'm being joined by Mr. Samuel Mwansat, a public affairs analyst and also a lecturer with the University of Jos. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Thank you very much, Joy.
It feels good to have you despite your busy schedule. It's been a long time. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much once again.
Though on a sad note, a very unfortunate one that just happened yesterday, and I would like to actually get your take on the state of insecurity in Nigeria. Like, it's not bad for one to say it's actually exhausting. And if you've been following trends of events, especially that of insecurity and mass abduction, this is not the first time. Like what happened yesterday, the kidnap of students in GSS Chukun local government area, you see that it has happened before. In January 2014, it was Chibok schoolgirls, 276 were kidnapped. And from Chibok, there's that of Dapchi. And then in 2021, around July, 150 students were kidnapped, same Kaduna local government. And then in Kaduna State, some parts of Kaduna have suffered series of attack and then kidnapping. And one will just say, when will this end? I thought at some point in Nigeria, we have the Safe School program that was to provide security for school. And some of the children that were kidnapped, some primary school level, and then you're wondering, what is their crime? What's the crime that the parent will say, okay, let me just send my child to school? And then what we keep having or what we keep hearing is that bandits come and then for hours they have a swell time, kidnapped. Like the student they kidnapped were about 300. Some actually escaped, and that's why the number dropped to 287. And what you keep seeing as reactive measures. You see government saying we are on top of the situation, we are going to ensure safety, like the governor of Kaduna State was assuring the community that of the safe return of these students. And I was asking myself, like, what powers do the state government have at this moment? Because the issue of state policing that a lot of governors have been advocating for, where it's yet to be implemented. Security in Nigeria is always at the helms of affairs up there, but the governor is actually assuring, while it is actually needful and hopeful for him to make statements like that. But the question is, when will this end? Last weekend, children between the ages of 7, 8, 10 were protesting in Katsina State because of a 3-day attack in some community, the killings of their parents. And at that age, they tore the streets with placards protesting the killings of their parents. You will start imagining how these children will grow up with that in their head. I don't know what you make of the current situation in Nigeria. Very sad and unfortunate.
Indeed, Joyce, this is a very sad and unfortunate incident. I wouldn't want to say that the Nigerian security forces are overwhelmed. As far as I'm concerned, they are not overwhelmed. I just feel there's no willpower to address this issue. Come to think of it, kidnapping almost 300 people. It's 300 people. It's like a polling unit in a ward. Just recently, during this by-election, I noticed there were some polling units that had 100 people. And when I saw the number and I discovered it was just the registered number of voters are just 100 and something. And you know that 100 people is not just a small number. Talk more of 300 people. Then you begin to ask yourself, are we really serious about the issue of security in this country? We have the NIA, we have the DSS, we have all other intelligence gathering agencies. What happened to early warning signs? What happened to mitigating these things in the board? You know, I was reading something some days ago. Aisha Yusufu was saying that is it when citizens come out to protest that they now get on top of their games, that, you know, they start threatening, you'll be arrested, you'll be doing this. What happened to these people that will take hours perpetrating these crimes against humanity, and nobody is there to help these people? Is it a crime to be a Nigerian? These are children that Nigeria, I can tell you this without mincing words, have failed. Nigeria has failed these young ones. You can imagine that you go to school and there's no safety. Gone were those days where the school is a sanctuary. You know, gone were those days when you go to places of worship, even if somebody is thinking of perpetrating evil, he thinks twice. But today, it has become a field day. You know, a few weeks ago, I discovered the rate of kidnapping in Abuja was getting very, very, very alarming. You know, drastic steps were taken. People were arrested. Can't that be replicated in other states? Can that happen in other regions? It is getting too, I mean, it is one time too many. We are getting tired and fed up of all this. You can imagine children of 10, 7, 8, 10, like you said, coming out on the streets to protest, to call on the government to do the needful, to call on the government to do its primary assignment. Is this not indicting? I can tell you this. If we want to get this right, we need to go and tackle this issue headlong. And how do we do that? We need to go after the sponsor of this evil. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you see the kidnappers, you don't see the wealth, the wealth they are amassing for themselves. The ransoms, they collect ransoms in hundreds of millions. And you find out that they don't even have anything to show for it. It shows that there's somewhere this money is going to. And if government wants to be sincere about fighting this, I believe that they need to go headlong and arrest people that are sponsoring this thing. And one other thing, you know, I think it's high time we started thinking of, reviving the capital punishment. As far as I'm concerned, if these people are arrested, they are tried, and they are convicted, I feel they should just take them to the firing squad. By the time we cleanse the system of these bad elements, then we can subpedal on that. But I think it's high time we tell ourselves the truth. The First Lady just came out to shout about it and to say things about it. But I think we keep happening, and we feel it has become the normal. You know, it has become the order of the day. People will shout, people will condemn, and that's all. Do you know how many people are still there in captivity, spending over a year and more in captivity? And we have a government. Do you know the number of bandits that are in control of states and local governments? Local governments are, you know, enforcing tax and levies on people. This is appalling, actually.
In fact, that of Chikun local government is not even news, the issue of insecurity. It's like bandits have been having a swell time in that area. Definitely. It is the same local government where we heard of a principal that was killed and his wife abducted. Like, there were a series of attacks and issues of killings in that same place. That should have given the government heads up to provide security. But most times when we wait till things happen, then you see that the NSA has assured, you see all manner of helicopter, the presence of security and all of that. Like, that just brings your mind to crisis entrepreneurs, how that some people are actually having a swell time talking about deterrent, unless we are deliberate about serving punishments and dealing with perpetrators of these things. If not, we keep having circles. These children have rights to life. These children have it's their fundamental right to be free. But by the time these children children are being kidnapped and then kept somewhere, you are infringing on their fundamental human right. And it just takes one's mind to the primary responsibility of the government as enshrined in the Constitution. Section 14 says that it is the responsibility of the government to protect lives and properties. But when we keep having circles of these things have waxed stronger. Like for years, crime is becoming attractive to people. Now, these are children that say, oh, I want to go to school. I want to be a better Nigeria. I want to contribute meaningfully to my nation. But in the morning, just after assembly. So are we trying, what hope are we giving parents? Are we trying to pass the message that, no, you can't send your child to school? This is happening and has been happening in the part of the country where we have high number of out-of-school children, and yet we have been unable to bring an end to this issue. I don't think any government can boast of development or growth if you have been unable to deal with the issues of security, if you are unable to deal with your primary responsibility. I mean, why do people go out there to vote leaders? Is to protect their rights, is to ensure their safety. And that just brings to mind the issue of looting in Nigeria. I heard the Senate president, I mean the number 3 citizen of this country, talking about how that the emergence of this administration has brought to the barest minimum the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. I was wondering, food insecurity that we've been battling for months now, isn't it also a security issue? He was actually responding in a debate about the killings in Benue State, about 50 people, even saying it's an aberration that the governor should have gone through this process and that process, and saying that insecurity have been brought to the barest minimum. I was wondering if he can actually come and say that in Mangu local government, if he can actually say that in Chikun local government, if he can say it in other parts of Nigeria, Katsina, Niger State, and other states. Now, talking about food insecurity, it was just last Sunday that we saw how that residents around Abuja area went to loot a warehouse, and all because of this issue of hunger, hardship, high prices of commodities, how that people cannot even afford to go to the market and buy food and then eat because of the prices, the hardship on the people. Now, a lot of protests we've seen across different states. Now, beyond even this protest, we've seen trucks that have been looted. It was a spaghetti bois truck with spaghettis heading up Abuja, and it was looted. This is a crime. This is uncalled for. But then why do we have to get to this stage that people have to loot warehouses? People have to loot even trucks that are on transit. And I'm just concerned about business owners, because these trucks, like these food items that are being transported, belong to certain individual. Like this is where we are today as a nation. People loot it before, even if there are accidents, people want to protect it. Food used to be cheap in this part of the world, but today it's really difficult to even afford it. And this is actually our situation. I don't know what you make of this.
Well, like I said earlier, I will still say it again. You see, you the way you make your bed, so you lie on it. These are all results of failed government over time. The government has failed the Nigerian citizenry. I am not encouraging or approving. I mean, I'm not approving what they did, but I can tell you that this is a product of hunger. A hungry man, they say, is an angry man. No, a hungry man won't see a truck full of food and then will just sit there and starve to death. It is a survival instinct. People are hungry. In case these people up there don't know, I think with all these things, they are all indicate to us, telling the government that these things are real. People are really hungry. Gone were those days when, like you said, people protect these things. But as it is right now, people don't have food to eat. I can assure you that so many people can't even eat 3 square meals in a day. You know, people are just skipping meal, probably eating the daytime, and so. I was discussing with a keke rider, a tricycle rider, a couple of days ago. And he was telling me that it has become so difficult for them to eat that right now they only eat once and they don't eat again till the next day. You know, people don't even set fire in their houses because there's no food. And all these things are intertwined. They are all products of bad government, one, like I said, because if you don't have security to go and farm, there's definitely going to be food insecurity shortage. And once there's food shortage, the is going to boost insecurity. The economy is in shambles, and nobody seems to care about it as far as I'm concerned. Because if they do, I don't think that these things would have been nipped in the bud before they get to this alarming stage that they have. I think people should just learn to do the right thing, but then when people get pushed to the wall, what do you expect them to do? What do you expect?
This actually calls for concern. I mean, we've been talking about proactive measures. In fact, these things people have preempted even before now.
Yes.
At some point in Nigeria, there was flood, and even the Olam rice farm that we all know produced
Yes.
like a majority of the rice we have in the market was actually affected. The issue of insecurity across states in Nigeria has affected even the farming, where we see even farmers kidnapped.
Yes.
The case of Borno, Zamfara, some states, they even have to pay levies to bandits before they are able to harvest
Access to
to their farmlands. And because of this issue of insecurity, a lot of farmers have been unable over the years to actually farm. And because of that, certain people have said, see, there's going to be hunger, there's going to be food scarcity. And you wonder if the government didn't see this actually coming or making preparation for all of this. Look at what happened in Abuja after the looting of the warehouse. We're seeing the federal government saying, oh, we'll begin distribution of grains. The president is ordering that there should be distribution of grains to residents in Abuja. Like, these are the reactive measures that we keep seeing. I don't know if these short-term, like, measures that the government are, or these reactionary measures that they are always putting in place is actually the right step in the right direction.
Sorry to cut you short. Are we even sure that when they open these warehouses, these things will get to the end users? Nigerians are, I won't say Nigerians in general, but, most of our leaders are very, very self-centered. Somebody may be given the responsibility of distributing this food, but I can assure you that it will become an instrument of politics. Somebody will use that to play politics. Just like, okay, hoarding this food, then give it out to people when they need. I think it's just a political, is a deliberate political calculation, which I feel it's very dangerous. Because you can't continue to starve people and then give them peanuts and you expect that they will continue to do your bidding. I think all these things that are happening now is a very, very strong indicator to the government that they need to sit up. They need to put on their thinking caps and think, proactively. If not, I can assure you that there's going to be a conflagration that not anybody can contain. I am not the prophet of doom. I'm not encouraging that.
I really wonder how long will these grains take the families that eventually are going to, because it's always about the vulnerable and all. And I asked, what about other Nigerians? Because even some of the civil servants that, even the vulnerable that we keep talking about, oh, we share this to the world, how many of them have had access to some of these things like federal government conditional transfer? Like, it's always about beautiful policies on paper without putting or implementing all of this. And why do we have to wait till it gets this bad before being reactive about these measures? Now, if you go down the street or some of these houses, how many people in the villages will say, yes, I have received so grains? And how long will it take for a family of 10, of 7, of 6? How long will it? What about measures like price control in the market? We keep talking about, oh, we are going to do this, we are going to do that, but what about long-time measures? I remember that since the coming in of this administration, it has always been about, oh, Nigerians should be patient, this thing is for good. I know that almost all the presidential candidates spoke about removal of petrol subsidy. This is one of the policies that even Nigerians actually backed, but people have spoken about the methodology, how the president, it was more like an announcement without putting anything in place, and immediately Nigerians started seeing the effect. Prices went up, a lot of hardship this has caused with stagnated income, but you go to the market and then it's not like double the price of what you bought. In fact, in Nigeria today, it's not about you saying, going to the market with a particular budget, I'm going to buy this at this, because you can go in the morning, when you go in the evening or in the afternoon, it's a different price. So I'm just thinking, price control, isn't there, can't something be done in that direction so that it can ease the pain or the hardship that this thing has cost Nigerians? Because even beyond the civil servants, there are Nigerians that are not civil servants. So, and for me, I think it is the bulk of the people that are not civil servants. Look at war-torn nation like Ukraine. supplying, donating grains to Nigeria. We have arable lands, but why have we been unable to deal with the issue of insecurity so that we can also produce? Like, though we claim to be peaceful, but look at water nation like Ukraine donating grains. I mean, this calls for concern. And just quickly to ask for a long-time measures, do you think that there are actually long-time measures beyond these palliatives and beyond this distribution of grains that can help push on this hardship on the people?
Well, I think it's simple. We all know the root cause of all these things. By the time we tackle these things from the roots, I think the problems will be solved. It will just fall into place like jigsaw puzzles. Let me give you an example. If we have good leadership, good policies, because I know good leaders will always chunk out good policies, you know. But by the time we keep circulating a set of people that are more self-centered than concerned for the country, that's exactly what we'll continue to get. So, but if we want it long term, then we will have to come back to the drawing board. We'll have to sit down and tell ourselves the truth. Are we really, really ready to move this country forward? Are we really ready to stop this rat race? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a rat race. You know, we keep doing the same thing over and again, and we expect to get a different result. No, it's not going to happen. We know the problems, we have the solutions, but we can't do them. Don't you think we have a Consumer Protection Council in Nigeria? As far as I can tell, they are one of the most redundant agency of government that we have. These people don't even care about the right of a consumer. How many times would people come and tell you that, okay, I bought something and then I was not satisfied, then the Consumer Protection Council protected my interest? How many times have we seen adulterated products? How many times have we seen substandard products? We have a standard organization of Nigeria that is as dormant as anything. These are all agents. People keep talking about government. How about these people? But you look at the problems are all intertwined, because who are those people manning the affairs of these agencies? They are usually cronies and family members of people in the ruling class. Just this afternoon I was reading the President Tinubu just announced the son of Ganduji as the DG or thereabout, or so, of Rural Electrification Agency. For the love of God, how long are we going to continue recycling these people? We keep staying under the leadership of their parents, and then their children will still lord over us again? Aren't there people that can fit into that place? You know, the nepotism is so alarming. And how do you expect places like this to work when you know that the head of this agency has a godfather somewhere and nobody can talk to him, nobody can reprimand him? The truth is the solutions are there, but we keep turning a blind eye to it because we don't want this country to move. So a few individuals are holding this country to ransom. And I just hope and I pray that there's going to be a change.
Indeed, because if we're unable to remove unprincipled people from the political space, all we keep having is people that will just keep bootlicking and their leaders, like he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And that's why it's not about the people, but it's going to be about self. If not, why would you see white and say it is actually black? Or why would you see black and say, oh, it is actually white? Like, we see leaders day in, day out stand and make public speeches, and you're wondering, like, are you actually representing the people? Like, look at statements like insecurity have been brought to barest minimum when people even at IDP camps are being kidnapped. Like, you begin to wonder if the leaders feel the pain of the people. But I also pray that this will also be a lesson to Nigerians and even the citizens, that when it is time for election, we are going to elect people on the basis of competence, on the basis of patriotism, people that love the country, people that think leadership, people that think the next generation, not people that just think of their personal interest or even their pockets. And talking about economic, strengthening economic relationship, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and His Highness Sheikh Tamim, Emir of the State of Qatar, on Sunday in Doha witnessed the signing of historic agreement between both nations, opening a gateway for leveraging the potential of mutual cooperation in pivotal sectors of education, enterprise development, investment promotion, youth empowerment, mining, tourism, and even sport. And the 2-day visit by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Qatar to woo investors has generated reactions from across sections of Nigeria. President Tinubu asked Qatari investors to bring their investment to Nigeria, adding that public officials who demand bribe from them should be reported. The president spoke during the Nigeria-Qatar Business and Investment Forum in Doha on Sunday. And when Tinubu arrived at the presidential palace for the Business and Investment Forum on Sunday, he was received by Qatari captains of industry and some Nigerian delegates who accompanied the president to Qatar, including his 2 sons, Sheyi and Yinka Tinubu. This, in fact, generated a lot of reaction. People were asking, based on protocol, what are the sons of Tinubu doing in Qatar? In fact, when the introduction and then the exchange of pleasantry was done, like you could see that it began with his son, and people are asking the question on what basis, what positions do they hold? Are they into businesses that they also went there to add up their ideas? But before then, I would like to get your reaction on this. Does this speak or generate hope? Should this generate hope in the minds of Nigeria? Because we've seen over time how that the presidency or spokesperson have been saying, oh, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, since he came into office, he has been traveling up and about trying to woo investors to Nigeria, even though people have been speaking when there is insecurity, no investor wants to come and invest and then just lose all of his investors. So what exactly do you make of this visit and this deal that Nigeria and Qatar have actually gone into? Does this speak hope?
Well, I am surprised when journalists reported this as a historic event. I don't see anything historic about this whole thing. We have seen presidents move to different countries to sign agreements, bilateral agreements, and so much. I mean, MOUs, treaties, and etc. And we're not seeing the fruit of all these things. And I can bet you that this, as far as I'm concerned, may turn out to be like all others. You know, but I'm glad that the
maybe
president,
historic for this administration.
probably, but he has gone to so many places. So what is historic about it? Is it probably the fact that the Qatari government initially said they declined the visit, and eventually they accepted that Nigerian should go? Is that what makes it historic? As far as I'm concerned, I am just happy that, yeah, the president went there and tried to portray the Nigerian youths in a good light. Yeah, they're hardworking, they're brilliant people. But I liked what the Sheikh said. Sheikh bin Al Thani. There was something he said. He said, yes, Nigeria has brilliant youths, hardworking youths, but it is expected that these things should be enjoyed in Nigeria rather than outside the country. And that is the truth. When you go out of the shores of this country, you see a lot of Nigerians doing great and wonderful things in these countries. Why can't they sit down and do same in this country? They can't do that because the government is making life so unbearable for these youth. You can imagine somebody spending a number of years in the university to become a medical doctor, and then after graduating, you're looking forward to contributing your quota to this country. And then at the end of the day, your remuneration is not paid. And by the time you talk about it, they slam you with no pay, no work, no pay. That is why we have the brain drain syndrome, where the best brains are being taken out. I can tell you authoritatively, you know, the number. I can tell you to a very large extent that so many doctors left this country, so many academic staff left this country, and they're doing great and wonderful things in Nigeria, and I mean outside this country. And when they do these great things, Nigerian leaders will be the first to say, we identify with these people. Why won't you woo these people to come back here and develop this country? Why would we continue to train these people and then they go out there and then develop other people's country? Aren't we ashamed of this? Aren't we tired of this? As far as I'm concerned, this visit I don't think it's too early for us to celebrate this visit. We are expecting the Qatari delegation to come in after Ramadan, just as the Sheikh said, and let's see what they have on the table. But the issue of saying if somebody asks for bribe, you should report that person. I don't think that's just a political statement as far as I'm concerned.
In fact, for most Nigerians at this point, it's like, oh, fingers crossed. Let's see what this brings. Because it was just last week that one of the presidential spokesperson or aide came out to say that, or tweeted that UAE have lifted ban or visa ban, and then the next minute that statement was actually deleted, and so that speaks incompetence on their part, and a lot of Nigerians spoke against that. Why can't you verify information? Or why are you just about praising it? Why are you quick to just say something that is not in place? So fingers crossed to see what this signing of or this deal that has been referred to as historic is going to bring. Like you rightly mentioned, we have a lot of brains in Nigeria, and I'm happy that the president actually acknowledged that. He said we shouldn't allow bad eggs to just spoil every other person. Nigerians are doing great. I know a lot of young people that are resilient, that despite even amidst this hardship, but they are not giving up. They are doing well there to represent their country. In fact, I was in a meeting recently, and the young people are saying, see, we're going to be here. We'll build this nation. We will not go to anywhere. See, it's not like all of the Nigerians that are out there are actually there because they wanted to just leave their country and go and develop other countries, but they have protested, they have gone on strike saying that, see, we need this in place. We've had times where even doctors, while on strike, will say, we don't even have, we have studied, we have the knowledge, but the equipment to even do this, some of these things are not in place. Sometimes people travel from Nigeria to other countries for treatment, and they get treated by fellow Nigerians.
Don't even say people. Talk about our leaders. Our previous president spent most of his administration getting health care from outside this country. Our current president has done that severally. So what are we saying? Why would we continue to allow this country to be hostile for its youth? Then what future do we have for these people? Then what hope do we have for tomorrow? Coming to talk about the issue of the president going with his two sons, I think we love taking advantage of every situation in this country. How many times, if not, have you heard world leaders? Do you even know their families? Look at this Angela, the former chancellor of Germany. This woman, as far as I can tell, is a very noble woman. Till she left office, she was just like any ordinary citizen. As far as we're concerned, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria does not give any office to the son of a president, nor even the first lady, the office of the first lady. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a constitutional thing. You know, you don't just keep taking advantage of the Nigerian society. You told us there's no money in this country. You know, everybody should tighten his belt. Well, sorry, we're in desperate times, and then you spend a lot of money, you know, it's on irrelevant things. As far as I'm concerned, they're going there to Qatar. If they want to go, they should go as private citizens, or else they should give us proof that these people actually got monies from their pockets to sponsor this trip.
Or probably their father sponsored them.
Whatever it is. But as far as we're concerned, they shouldn't be seen. As far as we're concerned, they are not policy makers. Nobody voted for Sheyi Tinubu and others. People voted for Tinubu. That's why if anything goes bad, we hold Tinubu responsible. If anything, if the country is good for it, we praise Tinubu. I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to digress, but come to Plateau State. As I'm telling you, you go out there, people are just claiming, hailing, and calling the governor's name for this just short period of time and things he has done. You know, if he has done bad things, people will surely call him and call his name and, you know, criticize him. I'm saying this because I don't see any reason why the president would take his two sons out there. There was a time I remember at the banquet hall of the presidential villa when they came for a meeting, and lo and behold, the president's son was there. I know that time the president had to caution him. I heard it, I saw it on the TV, and we read it in the papers. You know, at that time I felt, wow, this man is doing very well. But I'm surprised that this thing is still happening. It's getting very embarrassing and very embarrassing to the country. And I just hope that henceforth, even if he goes for any function, he shouldn't be seen. He should be behind the scene.
I think Nigerians need explanation as to why the two sons are actually there, because the government have been calling on the people to be patient, the people to bear with the government, yet they don't see examples in the lives of the leaders. Because if you're living flamboyantly, if you're spending public funds like where you shouldn't, then Nigerians demand explanation. Look at how protest is taking almost every street in Nigeria because of how things are not actually working, and you keep seeing leaders praising the government and nobody's asking questions. In fact, from the protocols, how I saw them, in fact, the two sons are standing even before the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and you as
And that was
what?
supposed to be a state visit,
Yeah.
not a private family visit.
I just hope that they come out and make clarification on that, even if they don't have any. He should actually explain that whoever is involved in listing the delegates or coming up with the names, Nigerians actually need explanation. And I think all the reactions even came even before the journey, because the lists were actually out there on social media. A lot of criticism it generated, but we still saw the sons actually accompany the president alongside others to that actually visit. So talking about wooing investors to come to Nigeria, if we don't put our house in order, the investors will still not come. Like the governments are actually, people of Qatar are serious about investment. And when the Sheikh was talking about how that if you want us to invest, it is the money of the next generation of the Qatar.
Yeah.
So we can't just throw it out.
Of
so
course.
You must be able to show us that we can and bring our money here, and our money is going to be safe.
Sorry to cut you short. What has happened to the investors that are currently in the country? Are they? Is there ease of doing business? Is the environment favorable for them for business?
A lot of them have packed
How many of them have packed out of this country? And you think the Qatari government, like the Sheikh said, will carry the money of their next generation and then, I mean, bring it to Nigeria when they know that it's going to be a wasteful venture? You know, we have to really sit down and put our house in order before we start inviting. We don't necessarily have to invite people to come. By the time our house is in order, investors will come. Look at what is happening in China. China today is a big economy in the global space. What happened? Gone were those days when they were in recession. They had to sit down, put up their thinking cap, and then come up with solutions to their problems. These problems are not insurmountable. But I can tell you that some people are enjoying and basking in the suffering of Nigerians and in all the mess that is happening in this country.
The people of Nigerians, like, they deserve leaders that will actually invest in them, leaders that will actually look into their problem and do the needful. A lot of businesses are packing up, not even investors, beyond investors. We've seen over the years how that a lot of investors, like from 2023 to now, a lot of investors are packed out of the nation because doing business is not easy for them. A lot, from issue of insecurity to the issue of power supply, amongst other issues. Even small businesses currently in Nigeria, some of them are packing up because you hear, oh, we can't afford to do business any longer. Now, even the equipment, whatever, the things they use to do business are quite expensive, and they tell you we can't afford that. Even when people try to do things on their own, the power supply is not there, the environment is not enabling. So I think beyond going out, traveling out to look out for investors, there are strengths within that we can harness. All we need is to make the environment actually enabling for them, so that when we invest in our own, we will naturally attract investors. If the environment is conducive, you don't need to keep traveling to like woo investors. They will see the need to actually come and then do business in the country. And still talking about the current situation in Nigeria and all the hardship that the people are being faced with, is really worrisome to see what is happening in the political atmosphere in Edo State. And I keep wondering, why is it that Edo State is always in the news? Like, it's exhausting, the riffle between the governor and then the deputy governor. It has lasted long, though the deputy governor, talking about Sheibu, have come out to say that he has tried his best to relate with the governor Obaseki, but even in public functions, when he greets him, he doesn't respond to him. And I just wonder what happened to that relationship that they had at some point when Governor Obaseki was not in good time with the national chairman, the then chairman of the APC. Like, the deputy stood for him, and they were like brothers. And I'm just wondering why that for some time now these people have been in the news for the wrong reason. And this week we're seeing that the State Assembly are moving to impeach the deputy governor. Some people are saying, how many months is left? Why wouldn't you just allow this man to just complete the tenure? But it's constitutional to impeach whether governor or deputy governor. But the question is, on what ground? They have already served the impeachment notice, and we know all of this takes a lot of time. But then, on what ground? The Constitution provides that if you are impeaching especially as regards the office he occupies, it had to do with misconduct. But the Edo Assembly are saying, those that voted, who are the majority, that he has taken some of the government issues that's supposed to be secret or out there, and that is some of the grounds. But does the Constitution provides for that? These are some of the questions that people out there actually asking. My question in all of this is, I'm always worried about governance. When you have leaders that are supposed to work together to ensure, to provide good governance, always fighting or at loggerheads, you begin to wonder, like, who suffer at the end of this? Always about the people. So I don't know your take on what is happening in Edo State.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. I don't think this is peculiar to just Edo State. It's just the norm in Nigerian politics.
Can't politics just be straightforward?
The problem is our problems are just so enormous, and we are not ready to even look at them, talk more of, finding solutions to them. You know, just recently before Akeredolu died, there was rift, there were rumors, and it came to limelight eventually that all was not well. But when you look at the reason why the State Assembly is trying to impeach this man, I don't feel it's just an abuse of power. The truth is, you were trying to impeach somebody. One, they said for perjury, he lied under oath. Secondly, he went out to divulge state secrets. You know what? Some times ago, the governor on AIT, it was captured on AIT when he went to address stakeholders in the state. He said the deputy was so desperate on clinging power that he could not even wait for the expiration of the governor's term for him to start campaigning and showing interest. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is so long, as far as you're eligible, you can contest for any position in this country. But you see, it has always happened between governors and their deputies. There are very few governors and their deputies that are having cordial relationship from the beginning of their government to the time they finish the government. And why is it so? I think the quest to control, to have absolute control, is the problems we have in this country, particularly in this state. You know, the governor would want to, name a successor, crown a successor. And why is it so? I am telling you this without, mincing words, that it is basically because they have skeletons in their cupboards and they need people that will come and cover it up. If not so, why won't you allow this thing to be free and fair? Why must you impose somebody on someone? If you are in the same party, you have the same party ideologies, I don't see no reason why it has to be your candidate or nobody. Because I can tell you that the problem started when Philip Shoaibu indicated interest in succeeding his principal, and then when you look at it on the flip side of it also, the fact that Shoaibu was saying in one of the meetings that he has contributed both naira and dollars to Obasanjo's campaign, but that doesn't give him the right to contest because he supported this person. If he's contesting because he feels he has something to offer, fine. But you came out to tell people, okay, because I have contributed money, now I think it's my own turn for me to be supported. That is the Emilokon syndrome we're talking about. So this thing is getting out of hand. And like you said rightly, that when these things are happening, it's the ground that suffers. It is the people of this state that will burn the brute. Because you find that an ordinary average Nigerian politician, immediately he gets sworn in, instead of them to now start thinking of governance, they are thinking of a next term. As I'm telling you now, people are scheming for 2027.
True.
This is barely a year into government, but they are beginning to appoint people that will come into place, and then you can imagine that a sitting governor would want to get, what would I call it now, how would I call it now? A stooge, just to go and hold the place for him in the National Assembly. By the time I finish my tenure, you're going to relinquish power, and then does it tell you how an average Nigerian politician thinks?
No wonder the result we keep getting.
That is it. We keep getting the same result because we still we keep recycling the same people. People are not there to help the country move. People are there for their self-aggrandizement. People are there for their self-interest. If not, Why would it be a problem if Shebu wants to contest? I feel if I was the governor, I'll tell you the more the merrier. I mean, the more the merrier. You know, if you want to go there, go and prove your popularity. You know, if truly this Nigerian electoral system or the Nigerian democracy is working. You know, from the time it started, they confiscated his office. They made life very miserable, ungovernable for him. You know, as they're doing that, we know that there's a vacuum somewhere because the office of the deputy governor is equally important. If not, it wouldn't have been stated in the constitution.
Sure.
Because when we have seen situations where when governors are traveling, instead of transmuting powers to the deputy, they look for somebody somewhere to give him power. The question I keep asking is, if you don't trust this person to succeed you, then why allow him to be your deputy in the first place?
Maybe to canvass votes, because a lot of politicians don't look out for credibility. Some people look out for who they can control, who will be loyal to them. Some look out for, oh, if I pick this person, I'm going to get votes from this area. So far beyond competence. Some don't even think in that direction. It's about loyalty. Oh, let's do this. Like, it's like a contract that you sign, and no wonder when it doesn't, you start seeing some form of fight and riffles, and you begin to wonder, like, what happened to the beautiful relationship that you once had?
Let's even define this loyalty. Are they supposed to be loyal to these leaders or so loyal to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? That is where we're always getting it wrong. You can imagine people coming out to protest. A hungry policeman that has not eaten for probably 2 days will sit down and say, you are trying to spoil the government of this person, not trying to uphold the Constitution. But I was surprised that we're gradually shifting from that, because the recent NLC strike, I noticed the Nigerian policemen were giving people sachet water and others. I think it's a right step in the right direction.
Sure.
If they're coming out to protest, they need to be protected. They have the right to peaceful protest, and the police is bound to provide security for these people. I think with that I am very happy, and I hope, because the truth is, all these things everything labor is doing, or the organized labor is doing, at the end of the day, these people that are still fighting the citizens, stopping them from protesting, will still benefit from it. If this country is better, wouldn't it be better for them? At the end of the day, don't they go to the same market we go to? I can assure you that some of these people that are being forced to do all these things have kids at home that they cannot even cater for.
Very true.
You know, so by the time these people start fighting themselves, they don't look into the act of governance. They keep fighting each other until the time, you know, how can you tell me that a whole Edo State House Assembly will sit down and be talking, discussing issues like this, when they have very burning issues in Edo State that they need to discuss? You know, at a point, Edo State is becoming very right now Edo is becoming very volatile. There's kidnapping in Edo State, issue of cultism and other things. These are the things that I expect these lawmakers to be discussing, not to be discussing an impeachment. Barely how many weeks into the end of the administration.
Well, it is only good politics that will lead to good governance, and that is why if people get into power without following like an excellent way, you hardly find them being excellent in discharging their responsibility. And leaders need to understand that leadership is not about lordship, but it's about servanthood. You're there to serve the people. But the kind of people we have in power today, they are just like sit-tight people. They don't want the masses. They don't want to push them up. Instead, it's more like, let's impoverish them so that we can have control over them. Let's divide them so that we can rule them. But I'm happy, just like you pointed out, people are becoming more aware. People are becoming more sensitive to what is happening. In fact, when you go to the market, you'll be surprised at the kind of conversation that people are having. Now, it's no longer being divided among religious lines, because people are beginning to understand that politicians also use that as tool to just get into power. They come in the name of religion to divide people. When they get into power, they know little or can do nothing for the people. And that's why people are, why we are actually disappointed. You hear people saying they are disappointed. This is not what they expect. Like leaders just look at their personal interest, they look at their pocket, and then that is just it. They look at their family and then their close allies. And like you rightly mentioned, people are already talking about 2027, and like politicians are planning for 2027. I hope that the Nigerian citizens too, that are actually learning from what is actually happening, so that when people come back to them, it will not be business as usual. Come with bags of rice, salt, come with 1,000, 2,000 naira to buy you your conscience against 4 years of hardship, like it's just 10 months into this administration. But for some people, a lot of Nigerians out there will tell you it's like 10 years, because
absolutely.
people are actually going through hard times. We've seen governors express how that they are almost helpless in the situation. And then instead of seeing government or people that are supposed to be responsible for taking actions actually taking responsibility, they keep pointing fingers as past administration or saying we will do, we are on top of, be patient and all, and you don't see all of that attributing them. So I just really hope that Nigerians come 2027, beyond the now, our eyes are going to be open, that when we elect leaders, it will be on the basis of competence, people that love Nigeria, people that are concerned about the next generation. Our time is actually fast spent, and just by way of wrapping up, I would like you to speak to the conscience of Nigerians. Things are hard. People are going through a lot. In fact, the governor in Nigeria says that his people are dying of hunger. And you spoke about how that some people, it's no longer 101 or 110, but it's now like just once a day. So I've had someone say that some people just take hot water, and I'm just amazed at how things have gone. So maybe you just speak to the conscience of Nigerians.
Well, I feel for everything that, I mean, for every situation, there are lessons we need to learn.
True.
And I am happy that Nigerians are learning. But unfortunately, they are learning the hard way. People are beginning to learn the hard way that it's not all about religion, it's not all about ethnicity, but it's all about who has what to offer. This country is supposed to, you cannot be living in plenty, and then we are still living in abject state of penury. We have the resources, we have the manpower, but we don't have the willpower to ensure that these things are happening. And it's all because of the wickedness of some of our leaders. Just to, in a way of wrapping up, just to bring to you the situation in Rivers State. I can assure you that Fubara is ever willing to give good leadership. But the issue of loyalty and godfatherism will not allow him to give back the dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State. Why? Because of the issue of godfatherism. So if a couple of days ago he came out to say he wants to even leave power if peace, if that will restore peace and normalcy in the state. It tells you how precarious it is. And then I will always prick the conscience of Nigerians. We are very, very docile in this country. We're just like a drunk that when he's faced with the problem, he drinks and sleeps and forgets the problem temporarily. When you wake up, the problem is there facing you. Just there, very glaring and probably worse than the way you left it. We've been running away from tackling our problems in this country. I think it is time for us to tackle this problem headlong. And what are these problems? The number one problem in this country is leadership, governance. If how would I even put it? One individual stealing money amounting to trillions of naira or dollars. Is that person a right-thinking person? And then Nigerians will sit there and lament about it, and that is all. I think it's time for us to know our place our place and our power as citizens of this country. We'll tell these people that you're just only but a few, and you're controlling the destinies of over 200 million Nigerians, and then a generation yet unborn. We should not continue to take all these things. I think we should always learn to hold our leaders accountable. Not that the leader will give you peanuts and you praise, sing, and you worship him, and that is all. If somebody gives you a road or hospital and it comes to brag about it, is that something to brag about? Is it not why we voted these people into power? Are they not there to serve us? Somebody sits down, he has a whole buffet, a whole table that you have almost everything you decide to eat, and then your next door neighbor has nothing to feed on. Is that normal? Is that a normal situation? Nigerians need to wake up. We need to know that these people are not doing us a favor. They are not helping us. We need to tell them, if they are not ready, let's boot them out. But surprisingly, you find out that these same Nigerians are the ones that will entrench this bad governance, that will entrench these same people, and after a while, they keep crying. I hope we have learned our lesson. Thank you very much.
Very true. I hope that we actually learned that lesson. Thank you so much for your time on National Talk. Really appreciate your in-depth analysis. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for staying with us. On today's edition of National Talk, our leaders and government must wake up to their primary responsibility as enshrined in Section 14 of the 1999 Constitution to protect lives and property. No child, no individual or citizen of Nigeria deserves to be neglected. The primary rights of life and then the freedom to live, it needs to be protected. So governors, leaders at all levels must understand that democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. Until we come your way next week on another edition of National Talk, stay blessed.